and welcome to Empire Rugby League. This is Coaching from the Couch with Bear and Wombat. Wombat, how are you?
Yeah, good. We're going to review, the half of games that I did watch because I was out camping.
Out camping, yeah. You were off the grid this weekend, so I had to strap myself into the couch and watch them all.
That's right. I mean, the two best games, I would say. No, two of the worst games for, I guess, Cowboys fans. I didn't watch.
Fair enough. Well, we'll run through the games backwards this week for something different. So the South Sydney versus the Bulldogs. So South went down 18-24.
This was an eventful game.
It was an eventful first 20 minutes that the Dogs were on. It was looking absolutely ominous.
Yeah,
then the gods agreed that it was ominous because boys, lightning. You got to come off for lightning.
Yeah. So honestly, the Rabbitohs looked like they were on the ropes. Like they some of the players couldn't get off their line. They were on their hands and knees after every set. It was just. I remember watching the Dogs' first set of six on the Rabbitohs line after, I think it was Galvin's set restart that he did. He put the ball in and he grounded him in the in goal. That first set, the Rabbitohs, I'm pretty sure, got it back, and for 5 tackles they made 10 metres.
Yeah, it was.
The
Bunnies were
gassed.
Ordinary. They were ordinary. Mind you, Toby Sexton come out the first 20 minutes and went, drop me, get rid of me, are you serious? Mate, he scored all the points in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and he converted too.
Yeah.
Like he did well.
So, I mean, that's just the proof of the proof of character, I suppose, is all this media circulation and the young fella comes out and performs like that.
I don't think he's going to be dropped. I think it's more the security there because realistically, when you think about it, if they have, like, say for instance, you've got Connor Tracy goes down with injury, who's your first pick to go fullback? Well, in that entire side, your first pick, to be honest, would probably be Burton to go to fullback. Or realistic.
Burton slots into the centres.
6
to 1 half does the other, really. But
they both probably do it. I know Crichton played fullback coming through, but out of options, I'd leave Crichton where he is.
Yeah.
Because he opens up Kiraz and puts, he's just that defensive centre, really.
Yeah.
But looking over at the Bunnies, that break, that helped them because AJ went in just before halftime and that gave them a bit of a spark.
Look, I don't think the break did help them. I don't think much helped them. I'm pretty sure Wayne didn't even go into the sheds during that break. I think he's just like, well, that's absolute rubbish. I'm not going down there.
Because you're seeing Ben Hornby was down there and Cody Walker was in there talking to the side, halves. But there wasn't many there really. But in all honesty, I think this just proves Dogs can't play in the wet.
Yeah, well, it was 20-0.
It was 20-4 at
24 at halftime, and it was 20-0 after 20 minutes. And then the Dogs only put on another 4 points, and they had all the ball in the second half.
I'll give credit to the Rabbitohs because they had Keon go down, then they had Jai Gray go down, and then Sullivan went down later in the game. Yeah. Like that's. And
already got no Walker, no Latrell. Jack Whiten came back, but it wasn't 100%. And the young Gray, not Jai,
Ryan Gray, the one that played dummy half for a fair bit.
He looked good.
Yeah, he played pretty solid. I think that was his second game, or is he debut?
Maybe it was a debut too.
I think it might be because there was so many different names in this one with it being Origin week and buys out and everything. But
I mean, you just need it to rain for the next 2 months if you're not a Doggies fan. So
if you're not a Doggies fan, then look away.
Yeah, but moving on, we up in Townsville, the Cowboys 4 went down to the Dolphins 58.
That's another record-breaking scores for the Dolphins. They broke their last week's score as well because
it is.
They went 44. So 44 points was the most against the Eels we got it on the screen.
That was last year.
Last year, in round 7, 2024. I think that was in Darwin, was it?
Oh, yeah, it would have been. I mean, that's,
And then round 12 this year against, again, the Dogs in the wet. And then round 14, they got 56 against the Dragons. And then again, the following week, they did 58 points against the Cowboys. So
yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, putting 50 on the Dragons isn't a massive achievement this year. Putting 50 on the Cowboys with no Origin players isn't a massive achievement this year, but it is it's still worth recognising.
Well, we can still say Cowboys, sorry.
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
50 points.
They joined the Titans, the Tigers, Parramatta. There's about 6 clubs that have had 50 put on them this year, so that's all over.
And, yeah, Titans as well. That's another one.
Yeah. But I tell you what, we tried to do this last week as well. Isaiah Katoa and Cody Nikorima just taking the space on offer.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Like, it sounds so simple, but it is so hard to do in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it is. But like for the Cowboys, like it almost felt like a reserve side in a way.
Yeah.
Because they just the Dolphins were just a second class. Honestly, they were just top tier, better class every day of the week. Because I genuinely thought with Max Plath going down with injury, and then they lost. Was it the Tom Gilbert's gone as well? So their captain, Flegler's gone. Like their injury list is piling up. Yeah. So their stocks of middle forwards, back rowers, 13s are all losing. But Kurt Donahue is just finding his straps at 13.
I think he's found his home, hasn't he?
And I think that does open it up because they've got Jeremy Marshall-King back from that leg gash, and he's looking solid. Like, he looks back to where he needs to be.
He's always been solid. Like, I to be honest, I can't believe the Bulldogs let him go to the Dolphins originally. I'm like, because you got to think, back then, the Dogs were going horrendous, and Marshall King was easily the best player at the club.
Yeah.
And then he gets poached, and the Dolphins kick on, and, but, I mean, look where the Dogs are now. So, obviously, there's some intelligent moves there, but there was one piece of play, again, Isaiah Katoa, and I didn't pick this up watching it live. This has actually come from, I think, Maddie and Cronk when they do their show. The little, again, it's this young kid is doing things at halfback that you expect a 10-year veteran to do, and this kid is just pulling them off for fun. So it was off a play the ball. Jordan McLean's tried to rush him. Katoa's taken a step, stopped dead, so he's front foot in front, and then all he's done is just lean his body towards McLean, and then leant back and passed, and McLean's basically nearly fallen over trying to hit him because there's no movement.
He's anticipated the movement too early.
Like, that shit's... What are you doing?
It doesn't sound like you can really coach that sort of stuff.
No, I don't think it is. Like that. What that kid sees and how he plays, it's ridiculous. It seems like he has an extra 2.5 seconds every time he touches the ball.
Because one of the set plays that I watched him do, it was off the highlights that I watched once we got back, and Katoa's run up and he's taken the ball, but he's... Oh no, this might have been from another one, but it's a similar thing. He's shaped up to hit short, but then he's turned his hips to hit wide, but then he fakes it short, and I'm pretty sure it was Lemuelu.
Probably running a nice line.
I think that might have been the Dragon. I might have been getting a bit mixed up, but he hit the Dragons, and it was a beautiful line by Lemuelu, and he just straight through untouched. But the way that Katoa had turned was like, I'm going out the back. And even the cameraman was like, whoa.
He does the cameraman a lot. And that's when you know you've got a damn good half, is when the cameraman is being fooled consistently. But yeah, moving on. I mean, the Dolphins are flying at the moment, even undergunned in the forwards. So I put in our group chat probably 2 weeks ago that Dolphins will play finals. The boys all had a bit of a laugh at me, but I'm not saying they're going to go deep. But I'm saying...
Play finals?
I think they play finals this year for the first time, and that Wayne Bennett curse is gone.
If they keep up this routine, they'll definitely be up there.
Oh, absolutely. Then we went the other Saturday game, which, I tell you what, I think I wish I was out there camping with you, because this was an absolute horrendous game. You know what this game reminded me of? This reminded me of round 1 Newcastle versus the Tigers.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was that sort of game. And the Roosters were terrible as well. Now...
Because this game, Roosters were meant to have Sam Walker come back from ACL, but with the broken thumb, he wasn't able to play. Yeah. So they had their switch, then they've switched back.
Yeah.
But clearly judging by the score and some of the stats I looked at, with their lack of inclusion from their Origin players, clearly losing a lot of links in the chain.
Yeah.
That, again, against the Knights side, who realistically only lost Ponga.
Yeah, that's literally it.
And then you had Sharp and Hunt sharing...
no Sharp either. Sharp was a late withdrawal with a calf injury, I believe.
So you've got Fletcher Hunt, who has been I know he shifted to fullback. He's been solid on the wing.
100%.
I think this just come down to, I guess, a bit of luck and pure desperation, because I did see a fair bit about the...
Yeah, look, Siwa Wong's try is the thing. Look, the NRL have called it a try. They've come out and stood by it. But even by the lettering of the law that has been thrown around all week, it probably isn't a try. And Newcastle fans, you probably have rights to be dirty, but realistically, I don't care, because I got a tip up and it was against Newcastle, so screw them.
Well, again, this is probably the sixth game I think they've lost at home as well.
Well, they've only won one, which was last week.
Yeah, and that was against Manly. So,
which, I mean, that's nothing to write home about, considering the next scoreline that we're going to see, which is the Titans 28 over Manly 8, and this was up on the Gold Coast. Titans finally put in a good performance at home, missing Tino and Mo.
Two big platform players as well.
And Manly, for the first time in over a decade, so the first time since 2015, had no Origin representatives missing. Yeah,
because Jake and DCE were both inside.
And Tom.
Yeah, Tommy as well.
So the storyline was DCE to come out firing and Manly at full strength, and let's just put it on them.
Yeah, I did believe that as well. But I think... I'll say it now, and being in Queensland, I feel like Ken's talk on this is... I think this justified Billy's decision to drop him.
100%. And it took all of 20 minutes for everyone to sort of go, oh, Billy's made the right call. Because DCE was nowhere.
We'll go for... we got DCE where they lost with DCE, the whole side in that against the Knights last week. And it was off the back of a missed 40-20 that then led to the Knights getting the ball and Fletcher Sharp scoring a try. Then there was another kick out on the full, and then it just snowballed from there. Yeah. Similar thing happened in this game where DCE would run the ball and he'd be running on a player or running players out of space.
Out of space. Like, he was very sideways, which you look at DC's career, he hasn't been sideways for a decade.
Yeah.
Like, he's a noted straight runner, engaged defenders. Did none of that on the weekend.
It's almost like he seemed like he was trying to overplay his hand in this game because he was trying to get back to that. But
have a look what happened after game one and what he did to whoever they played at Brookie the game after. Like, he come out and carved up and just went, this is what I do. That's what we were expecting in this. Yet you go to his old teammate and old grand final winner partner in Kieran Foran, and yes, Foz gives away a fair few penalties in defence, but that's just him pushing boundaries. And 9 times out of 10, not that any penalty is ever good, but he seems to pick moments when the boys need a break.
Yeah.
Or
it also seems like Foran's done it a fair bit, because a few of the teams he's been at, I've noted he pushes the boundaries of the referee to where the penalties are. Yeah. So that way, when he gets the penalty, but he takes a lot of the heat away from other players.
Yeah, he does. Like, I think that's just that experience head. But in attack, Foz was on.
So was Campbell.
Yeah.
Campbell he was back. Like, that foot injury is definitely in the clear.
Yeah.
Like, he's way behind him now.
And Bremo at fullback.
Yeah.
AJ Brimson at fullback. Like, that is his spot. He's not a centre. He's not a 6. He's not a 14. He's a fullback. It's just unfortunate that he's not going to be fullback at the Gold Coast. Not with Keanu King.
Oh, no, not with him coming back because he's still dealing with that neck injury. But another one I'll highlight from the Titans is Beau Fermor. Like, solid. Like, constantly solid. I think he's gone to a slightly higher level from being in that Origin arena. Obviously, it was only for a couple of minutes.
Always sort of happens. Like, you see those guys on the fringes going to camp, come back and, I mean, I don't think he deserved to be dropped from the Queensland side, but...
Personally, no. I think still not fully dropped, but maybe, I guess, with the way Billy's gone about it, to still be in that the top 20.
Yeah, I thought he should have still been in camp, but, it is what it is, and clearly Billy's got one thing right already with the DCE dropping, so but we'll come back and touch on Manly a little bit later. We'll get to the last game first. The first game last. Sharks 30 over the Dragons 18 at Shark Park, so they brushed off that flogging from the Warriors, and I don't know if things just got simplified at training this week, but the Sharks came out and played how the Sharks are supposed to play. Like, this game didn't surprise me. As soon as I saw Brayley out of dummy half and Fanua Blake off the back of him, even in the first half. I know the Dragons had scored their points in the first half, but that was off Cronulla errors. Second half, Cronulla didn't make errors, so therefore the Dragons didn't get back into the game. But their style of play never changed. They were straight through the front door, and we've said it multiple times. When the Sharks play straight through the front door, they are nearly impossible to beat.
There's been a few times that the Sharks have done that, but this was more of a game of two halves, really. Because you've got the Dragons that they come out making almost opportunistic tries.
Yeah, they literally were. They were only off errors or penalties that the Sharks gave away.
I think a few times we've actually mentioned about the Sharks that they either start fast and finish slow, or they start slow, finish fast.
Yeah. And
this is another one of those times, but even with exactly Brayley single-handedly won the Sharks this game by bringing the forwards on.
And I'm not sure if we did it at the very, very, very first episode. I'm pretty sure I said if the Sharks are going to do anything this year,
it's off the back of
Brayley. It is all on Brayley. Not Nico, not Braden, not Adam Fanua-Blake. It is on this young kid. And I thought he'd shoulder it a little bit more often. He hasn't, but maybe he does towards the back end. And I'm telling you right now, that kid, Blake Brayley, is the future New South Wales number 9 for the next 6 years beyond. Once he gets selected, he's the number 9 for the future.
That's fair. But looking at the Sharks, realistically, they pretty much shut the door on the Dragons in the second half.
Yeah, well, cleaned up their errors, cleaned up their penalties, and Dragons just had no answer for the way the Sharks go through the front door, which no team really would.
If you've got someone pretty much bashing down your door, you do pretty much anything and everything you can to stop it, and the Dragons couldn't do anything.
No, that's exactly right. But yeah, so moving on from the games, Wombat, I'd really love to... I've picked up on something. I just want your opinion to see if I'm actually watching the right thing or if I'm...
Being delusional.
Yeah, being delusional. I have this theory that Manly and Cronulla are basically the same team with the same problem.
That's fair. That'd be fair, yeah, because...
The problem is consistency, obviously.
Well, we've seen that we used those two teams when they played each other. It was probably one of the worst games of footy we've watched. It was
impossible to tip as well because you had no idea which team of which side was going to show up.
I think we even said that. We're whichever team finishes fast will be the ones that ended up being that.
Now, Manly, obviously, I had them in the grand final at the start of the year. That's not. I don't even think they make finals this year at this rate. They are falling off a cliff very fast. Now, the Sharks, I actually had finishing 8th this year, and I'm going to stick by it. It might not be that low, but I don't think that they are definitely not a top 4 side.
No,
not the way they've been playing lately. They play like they did last weekend every week. Different story.
Yeah.
But they're
just not consistent enough.
They've proven that they either refuse to or they can't. Now, We know when the Sharks are good, it's through the front door, it's off Brayley, it's the forwards are rolling, and then the back five get involved. Manly are very similar. When they're good, it's usually when Jake Simpkin comes onto the field and goes into dummy half, and he comes out of dummy half and he tugs on the forwards like Sipley and Jake Travojevic and Jaz Tavanga and Bullymore. Like that leg speed comes through the middle. Now, both of these clubs have the same, like they win games the same way. You go through the middle and then the back five can get involved and do whatever they want. So how do you get that? Now, we'll start with the Sharks because they clearly only have one dummy half in Blake Brayley.
Yep.
There's no rotation there whatsoever.
Yep.
Is that the problem?
I'd probably, at the moment, I'd say no. I think it's more, if you look at the forwards of the Sharks, there's a lot of, I want to say, personality in a lot of them.
Yep.
With more so Fanua Blake, for instance. He got signed by the club. He went there and he pretty much has come out a few times that he wants to be the alpha, like multiple times. Because they were talking about I'm the alpha, Fisher Harris is the alpha, and that they're trying to tee up old club, which is fair.
Well, yeah, you come out, talk smack in the media about Fisher Harris and the Warriors, and then got absolutely dusted, and he went missing. He did nothing.
He disappeared. He basically went, cool. I'll go get in the bus.
I've sold the tickets and hyped it up in the papers. So what you want me to play as well?
Yeah, and there's been a few like Hamiueli is another one who he's more talk than he is on field performance wise. Yeah,
he's good for a good game maybe once a month.
I think there's only two players that I would back up with Brayley who consistently put out every week that a team first. There's no drag with personalities there, and they always try. So you've got one of being it's not Niokora, but it's the Nikora. Sorry,
Brendan Nikora.
Yeah, Niokora's the Warriors one. But there's also Teague Wilton is the other one.
Yeah, so he's back from injury.
So the two back rowers from the Sharks, where you don't see anything in the media about them or where they are.
No,
you don't hear anything from them. You just see their performance on the field.
Yeah.
Same with Brayley. Now I understand McInnes is out there, and you see him in the media because he's captain and all that sort of stuff, and because his face looks like it's been put together by Play-Doh.
Yeah.
But those three players there that I've just highlighted, I would say are the epitome of what the Sharks could be.
Yeah, 100%. And I only throw the lack of a rotation for Brayley in because we know the speed of the game now. It is lightning quick and damn near impossible to catch up once you're on the back foot. Now, if Sharks get on the back foot, Brayley's making 40 to 50 tackles in a normal game. If they're on the back foot, he's making 60 plus.
Yeah.
Therefore,
hasn't he set the record this year? Most tackles in a game or something?
Probably. But what I'm saying is, he's buggered. Would it not be handy? Now, we've seen the likes of young Jaden Berrell, who plays for the Jets, which is the Sharks feeder side in Cup.
Yeah.
Why not have him and start blooding him? Why not have him sitting at 14, give Blake the opening 30, put young Jaden on at the back half of the 10, and then start the next 10, and then Blake finishes the game off, just to recharge, because Beryl will come on with 10 minutes of absolute energy out of dummy half, and then he has half time, and then it's like, well, reload and go again, young fella, and then Blake's had a decent rest, and he can continue. I just think it's an energy problem.
Well, it's also, like, they've got Jesse Calhoun there as well. Like, he's that middle forward 13 sort of player. I think he's more of a Connor Watson type of player as well, by the looks of it. But, yeah, like, now that you sort of, like, they start to lack that enthusiasm building forward. But, like, I think back to the 2016, that Sharks.
Yep.
That Sharks side.
The grand final Sharks.
You've got McInnes at the 9. You've got players like Andrew Fafita who are a personality, but also when the time mattered, they stood up.
Yeah.
Whereas the Sharks, you've got Oregon Kafusi, who is still I'd consider him a young...
Yeah, he's still a developing prop.
Yeah, he's a young developing prop who has had a couple of injuries back and forward. You've got Fanua Blake, who got signed as a ridiculous amount of money. Hamueli, who's in and out. Then you've got Toby Rudolph, whoever in and out. Then you've got whoever
Hazelton,
who's in and out. They have had a few injuries per se, but that's not enough of an excuse to say that when you've got front rowers who try and demand and say that I'm the alpha, I want to be this, I want to be that. Start walking the walk that you're talking, because you can't just put it all on Nico, because I'm starting to feel for Nico here.
I am as well. Don't get me wrong. I will chip Nico when he's playing stupid footy, which he does probably 3 weeks out of 4 at the moment. But again, if Brayley and the forward pack don't go forward, it's a bit hard for Nico to do his thing.
Yeah.
Now, okay, maybe Nico needs to adapt his game a little bit. That's fine. I'm happy with that sort of criticism. But what I'm saying is, I think at the start of the year as well, I think the Adam Fanua Blake signing, I thought I was very wary of it. I didn't think it was a great signing, purely for this. He's too hot and cold.
Would you say more, if to sum up the season that the Sharks are having right now, would you say that they're only a 40-minute team?
On a good day, yeah. But anyway...
Because we only see 40 minutes of them playing footy.
Yeah, and it's, very rarely a consistent 40 minutes either. It's not a half, it's 20 minutes of one half, 20 minutes of the other half. Well,
we've seen that in the Sharks-Eagles game, really.
Yeah. Speaking of, so Manly. Now, obviously a lot's been said, and it sounds like an unhappy camp, and that's no surprise there with the way DCE announced, I'm not being around for the next year, blah, blah, blah. But don't worry about that. Let's go on to in between those white lines that is our church, the football field. Mm-hmm. You have a world quality 7. You have a 6 that is probably had a great first year at the club, and this year's probably, I don't know, it's gone a bit missing. You have a world champion fullback that can hardly be fit for a full game. Mm-hmm. And then you have a very aging forward pack.
Yeah, the only one that would probably say is young would be Bullymore.
He's closer to 30 than what you think.
He's my age.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
He's 25.
I'll tell you what, his rugby league's done him no favours.
Well, that's what it takes to be a front rower nowadays.
100%. But again, they've now moved him to starting front row, which I don't think works.
No, I think where Manly Sea Eagles, and you could probably back me up on this, from where I've watched Sea Eagles start to dip, or tank, it'd probably be another way, is Simpkin going to the bench, going from the bench to the starting side, and Bullymore doing the same.
Yeah. So this is all coincided with Lockie Croker coming back too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which they've said is their starting 9. I'm sorry, I can't.
Nah. He's unfortunately he's too injury prone.
Not only that, I don't think he's quality enough for the game at its current speed.
Yeah.
Whereas you put Jazz Tavanga starting 9, and then when Simpkin comes on, Jazz floats back to the 13. I think that's a much better balance, and that's what they were doing at the start of the year. And it was working.
Yeah.
And it took the pressure off DCE, took the pressure off Brooks, and then when Jazz was at 13, you saw Brooks with line break assists. You saw DCE with time and space to kick. I know Manly have been decimated in the forwards. Like, they've lost big Paseka and all that, but they have Matt Lodge, they have Tafoa Sipley, they have bodies there. Takiaho has surprised the living daylights out of me. I actually think he's been a better buy than Fanua Blake.
Yeah,
they've picked Takiaho up for sweet fuck all.
Yep.
Because he's been rejected by everybody else.
Almost a lifeline, really.
Absolutely, because the Dogs rejected him. So you've
got a player who signed on a lot of money, playing
questionable footy.
I'd say okay footy at most, and Takiaho, who looks like he's literally playing every game as if it's his last.
Well, it very well could be with the way his body is, and that's the risk that Manly have chosen to decide to take. But I tell you what, I think it's paying off. And then you got another bloke on their bench, Matt Lodge, who they're paying sweet fuck all again, but he will go out there and do a consistent job.
I've got pulling up the team list from last week. We've got just their bench alone. So you've got Chaz Tafanga, Corey Waddell, Nathan Brown, and Sipley, who are all on the bench, right? Yep. Sipley, go back a couple of weeks ago where Manly were I'd say, not dominating, but winning comfortably.
Going better.
Yeah, better than this. So you'd have Sipley and Takiaho starting front rowers, or you'd have the likes of maybe Waddell starting, or someone like that. And then off the bench, you'd have Simpkin, then you'd have Tavanga, Bullymore, and then Brown.
Yeah.
Now, all the games I've watched of Brown and Bullymore, like when Simpkin, Tavanga, Brown, and Bullymore all went on that field, they lifted.
Like another 2 years. It's like going from first to fucking third in
downhill with a wind.
Yeah. It was. It's incredible. But
it was,
for some reason, they've thrown that out the window.
Now, I've got the stats here in front of me about minutes played, right? So Chaz Tafanga, who I know he copped a bit of an injury. He got, I'm pretty sure, HIA in the game as well in this one. So taking that away from it, now you've got Corey Waddell and Nathan Brown, both played for 28 minutes.
Yep.
Right? That 28 minutes, that's all they played. Now, you've got your two starting front rowers, Bullymore and Takiaho. Bullymore played for 40 minutes and Takiaho played for 48. Now, that's a lot of minutes for Takiaho.
Yeah, exactly.
For his age. Bullymore, I can understand because he has played back row 80 minutes sort of thing.
I don't think you're using Bullymore effectively if you're just throwing him out there at prop for 40-odd minutes.
I got a bit of an honest opinion about the way you'd shake up this Eagles side.
Yeah, go for it.
Jake Trbojevic, get your ass in the front row. Tavanga at 13, Bullymore to the bench. There's your starting pack.
Yeah, that's probably a fair call too.
Now,
but the other one there is Waddell. Now, I'm not bagging the bloke at all, but he's not a household name. If I could here's one. If I could put him into a category, I'd have him in the same boat as Corey Jensen at the Broncos.
Does his job, but yeah, okay, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
And that is where I'd start Waddell.
Starting front row.
Start him at prop, same way Corey does. Corey Jensen up at the Broncos, because you know you're going to get the 20 minutes out of him. You know there's going to be very minimal errors. You know the job's going to get done. And then you have Brown. Brown can come on after that. Bullymore can come on after that.
With this sort of, if we were to reshuffle our more so coaching from the couch, now there's talks of Tom going to the centres and all that sort of stuff. Now,
I think that's a no-brainer. I think it should have happened 2 years ago. 100%.
So if we were to do a reshuffle right now of, we'll just use last week's Sea Eagles team because they lost, so I think that'd be a good starting point. Out of this side...
Now remember too, last week they had no Lehigh Hopewadi due to Cat 1
now I'm keeping him out at the time.
So he's not in the squad either at the moment?
Not in this one. The 18 that played this game.
Okay, cool.
Now, and I think if we were to make a couple of changes, what's in my head, I think they beat this Titans side.
Yeah, I think I can guess your changes.
So I've got Tommy going to the centres.
Turbo to the centres, yep.
Kohler to fullback.
Yep, 100%.
Backline stays the rest of the backline. So besides that one change...
I can do that.
The 1 to 7 doesn't change.
Yep.
Because realistically, there's no other way to do it. Then I'd have probably Jake Trbojevic starting front row.
Yep.
With Corey Waddell as the other front rower.
Yep.
Coming off the bench, and with Jake going to the starting front row, Chaz Tafanga to the 13.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would have Bullymore, Brown, Takiaho, and Sipley all coming off the bench.
Fair enough. I mean, the only little switch there I'd do is I'd keep...
Because realistically, if Croker gets tired, he comes off, Tavanga to the 13.
Yeah, Jaz goes into 9, yeah.
Trbojevic, so Jake goes to 13.
Yeah.
Then you've got Bullymore, Takiaho, Brown, or Waddell to choose from to go to your front rowers.
That's a better rotation, but again, I'd I think Takiaho needs to start. I don't think he has his impact anymore. So I'd start Takiaho, Waddell, and I'd start Jake at 13 and have him
consideration of
have him as a running 13. And then, look, I'd probably start. I don't have a spot for Lockie Croker in that Manly side. I'd start.
I was taking that side that we've got there.
Yeah, I'd start Jazz, move him to 13 when Simpson comes off, Jakey comes off. Like
it makes sense.
Well, to us sitting on the lounge, it does.
Because Tavanga did the same thing
at the Warriors. Yeah,
at the Wars.
Like, look, we've maybe solved the Sharks and Manly's problems. So, Siebes, Fitzy, if you're listening, you're welcome. But we're going to get to one last team that we're going to break down this week, and they've been in the news a bit. It's not why we've chosen them. I actually chose these guys probably a week and a half ago to break down.
We've been building to this.
Anyway, the Dragons.
Yes.
Or the Dargans, or whatever they are at the moment.
Depending on what day of the week it is.
Yeah. Now, clearly, there are some issues here. Now, we go back to just the week just gone. You got Gutho. He's not changing. He's not leaving. He's the fullback. There's no issue with what Gutho's doing.
He has been a solid buy for the Dragons.
He's easily been their best. Actually, I think their three big off-season signings in Cook, Gutho, and Val have been great for them.
Yeah, they have.
Now, on the wing last week, we had Nathan Lawson and Terrell Sloan. Lawson is the Union convert. Mm-hmm. Bro, he's had 3 games now. Drop him back to Cup. Mate. Yeah. He's not ready for NRL. No. Sloan, I'll tell you what, he started the season well, but some of those demons are back, and unfortunately, you got to go, brother. Mm-hmm. The centres of Sully and Val, I know it was the young debutant last week, but the Sully and Val in the centres, I think have been solid. I think they've been
Sully
the Dragons'
seems
highlight.
like he's found that bit of form that he had a few years ago.
Yeah. And then we'll skip over the halves because there's something coming there. And then you had... I don't mind the Dragons forward pack. Even with the injuries that they've copped now with Egan and that, even this older forward pack that they're fielding at the moment, I don't mind it. There is something there.
The engine room doesn't seem like it's the problem.
No, I don't think it is. And the bench doesn't seem like the problem either. Like, Jacob Little off the bench is...
fantastic.
Unbelievable. That he is the reason they are going good in the games that they go.
All the bench players there, Jacob Little, Hamish Stewart, Pacifica Tonga, and
Sella, yeah.
Like, they have been solid off the bench.
Yeah.
Especially Little. Little has been...
player of the year so far.
Dynamite this year.
Well, he's chasing Gutho for player of the year for the Dragons at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
The issue is clearly in the halves. Now, the halves. Now, Lycan King Tongia is the 6. I don't have an issue with this right now.
Yeah.
Now, originally, the kid needed to work on his defence after his first couple of games. I think he's done that. He's a lot better defensively.
I think that might have just been first couple of games in first grade as well.
It could have been as well, like just getting used to everything.
Yeah, but, just being that little bit, I guess, I'd say jittery in your first grade games, your pace of the game and stuff like that as a young half.
He's had some quality touches throughout his...
some of the tries he's set up and his alone tries have been fantastic.
So I've got no problem with the young kid. That's not to say that I have a problem with this next player either, because I don't. The current 7 is Kyle Flanagan. Now, I know there's all the bullshit in the mainstream media about the nepotism, that dad's the coach, blah, blah, blah.
Dad's boy and all that sort of stuff,
now, I'm not standing up for Kyle and I'm not standing up for Shane, but if you go through and watch every single Dragons game of the year so far, you will find that young Kyle, win or loss, is a consistent 6 to 7 out of 10 every week, whereas the other boys, one week they're 10, next week they're 2. Like,
he tries.
And Kyle's actually, putting his body on the line. Like, he's not playing in a dinner suit. He takes the ball to the line. He cops his whacks. Not everything's perfect, but I don't think he's a 7, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. But we turn around and we have a look at the Dragons New South Wales Cup side.
Oh, yeah.
Now, since Lockie Ilias's dropping, we'll call it. Now, you thought it was only going to be a couple of weeks. I'm like, no, I think this is a longer term dropping than what people are thinking. And so far, it's been nearly 2 months.
Yep.
So Ilias went back to Cup. They lost that game. They have won the next 6 on the trot and won them quite comfortably. And he has starred. He has built those wins with the kids around him. Also, the other young 6 in Cup, Jonah Glover, is apparently knocking the lights out most weeks. So, the Dragons have a genuine first grade 7 in Lockie Ilias. You would say, start of the year, I think he deserved to be dropped.
Yep. I think that carried over a lot from the Bunnies.
Yeah. But he's clearly got his confidence back now in through playing Cup. When do we see Lockie Ilias come back into the first grade side?
I think now, realistically.
If it's not this week coming, which we'll get to in our preview show, but if it's not this week coming, it has to be the week after.
Yeah, like if they have another loss, it's come on. Like you've got to start looking at little things and realistic. As unfortunate as it sounds, I'd pitch a thing to this. So I would say probably move Flanagan to 6, King Tongia probably to have a bit of a reprieve, have a bit of a break.
Just put him back down to first grade, mate. You've done nothing wrong.
I probably wouldn't put him to reserve grade. I'd probably put him in the reserves and probably just give the kid a break, really.
Yeah, that's a fair point too.
Like, give the kid a break. Like, he's just going straight in and then he's just going bang, 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 bang. Like, that can hurt the confidence of a young player.
Oh, not only that, mate, his body.
Yeah, Ilias has obviously found his straps with Glover there, and it seems to be working because there's 6 on the trot.
Yeah.
So...
Or do you promote the pair of them?
I wouldn't promote the pair of them, to be honest. I'd probably have King Tonga probably... Look, one way I would do it would probably be either go King Tonga to the reserves.
Yep.
Or Flanagan just go play one game in reserve grade.
Just to shut the noise up.
Yep, just have a break from media for one game. Bring Ilias up and be like, all right, I'll make the change. Shut the media up. I'll make one change. It works. Cool. Sweet. Okay, they has one thing that changes. Ilias goes in. Dragons in first grade knock the lights out. But then if Dragons in reserve grade knock the lights out as well, is that a case of Ilias fix the first grade side, or the reserve grade side is that good?
Well,
with the rest of the players in this lineup,
I mean, the current, we're looking at this weekend's New South Wales Cup side for the Dragons. Now, this only looks like that because they have the bye in the NRL.
Yeah.
So, mate, trust me, that forward pack is NRL quality, and
I know,
that back line is
but
NRL
even
quality.
Even going with some of the players that have missed out on the first grade side and have dropped back, like there are some half decent players in there. Like you've got Murdoch Masilla, then you've got players like Fatala Mariner, who has been in and out constantly because unfortunately Hamish Stewart has just
killing it,
and Dylan Egan before he had his ACL was just keeping players out, like seasoned players out.
100%,
because he was playing good footy. Now I can see Ilias, realistically, if Dragons have one more loss under their belt with Flanagan at 7, I realistically, and I do not.
It almost forces Flano's hand. He has to make the change.
And I don't. This is my pet peeve that every single time, and it happens with media a lot, is that a team loses, say, 5 in a row.
Oh, it's always the same.
It's always the halves' fault, but it could be they kick every goal. We'll take, for instance, we'll use Reynolds from the Broncos, for instance. We'll use him.
Yep.
Now, Broncos fell into that slump.
Yep.
But if you actually look at the stats from Reynolds, he was, besides 1 or 2 games, he was kicking 40-20s. Yep. He was kicking out nearly every goal. He had a 90% kick rate out of all the conversions.
Yep.
Nearly every kick was pinpoint accurate to score points. Nearly had 0 errors, but Broncos were still losing.
Yeah.
But, he's a seasoned halfback. We're not going to blame him, though. What's going on with the culture of the club?
Yeah. They pick in the... I mean, this is why we started our little podcast, is because we were sick of the media narratives and the bullshit, and we'd like to think that we could cut through some of it. But, look...
I genuinely feel...
I think Ilias has to come back to first grade.
Yep.
Now, the question is, what do you do with Kyle?
Here's another pitch for you. If we're going to rest King Tonga, we'll use that because he's a young player. We rest him.
Yep.
Ilias to the 6. Does that fix their problems?
I don't know. I've never seen Ilias play 6. Maybe he brings out his running game. You'd still get his kicking game, which is what they desperately need. They need an accurate and long kicking game, the Dragons. But I actually think there's another move that hasn't been spoken about, and I think it's because it got poo-pooed a few years ago. But I think if Kyle wants to play NRL top-tier football for a long time,
yep,
I think he has to swallow his pride and become a 9.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because I think we had this discussion when we were talking about the game, and all you boys were hitting me up about, I'm the season 9. It's like, when I actually started thinking, and I took a bit of time to actually think about some of the stuff we've watched him play, like, he was at the Dogs for a while there, and he played a bit of 9. They tried turning him into a 9.
Yeah, and he cracked it and didn't.
He didn't like it, but then they had Jeremy Marshall-King, so he went into the halves, and then it sort of all turned, and then they've lost both of them.
Yeah.
But I started thinking that all the stats that Flanagan has held and has done well in has been with a 9 on his back.
Not only that, when he does perform well, the stats that you look at where he's like leading the charge are great qualities for a 9 to have. Now, I believe Kyle's a 9, and I have done for a while. But what do you do with Cook? What do you do with Little?
Yeah.
Because I actually quite like what they're doing at the moment is Hamish Stewart comes off, or whoever is playing lock, DeBellin, Hamish Stewart, DeBellin had a blindo the first half of last week. But whoever's playing that lock comes off for a rest. Little goes on to 9 and Cook goes to 13. I actually don't mind that.
Yeah, it's been working for them.
It provides something different. It's weird. We're not used to it, but I like it.
Well, it's better than Cook going to the centres.
Yeah, 100%. But then what do you do with Kyle, mate? I mean, if you're going to turn him into a 9, he probably has to go and play cup or reserve grade for a while at 9.
Yeah. And this is where I genuinely think with Flanagan, if he doesn't want to go the 9 and 7's not working for him because he doesn't have that control of the game or that, I guess, that ability to turn the game.
Yeah, to turn it.
Or be a game manager.
It's not a knowledge thing, because that's why I think he'd make a great 9, is a lot of that decision-making pressure is off him, and he can play what's in front of him and just bring the big boys on. I genuinely think Kyle Flanagan's a 9. He's just, no one's had the balls to tell him. Or, when they have, he's cracked the shits and thrown the toys out of the cot.
Yeah. I don't see him... And this is a bit sort of hard, but watching him play at 6, because I watched a couple of games prior to us having our chat, him playing at 6 for the last couple of years has been solid. Like he has
nothing special, but he gets the job done, and that's what I mean. And that's the problem with the Dragons, is that their halves are nothing special, with the exception of King Tonga, who still hasn't even hit his straps yet in the NRL. Realistically, Ilias is nothing special, but he is that step. But he is that step above Kyle. Kyle is nothing special, but he will get the job done, and that's the problem with the Dragons, is their halves are nothing special. Yeah. Every other club will have at least one half where you turn around and you go, "Oh shit, got to be careful."
Yeah.
Dragons, you go, I'm looking at the fullback, but he's over 30, so I've got him covered. I'm looking at the centres, and hopefully our boys tackle, because if they do, then that's easy. And the rest you're going, we just got to play footy.
Yeah, get in front of them, really.
So either that or Kyle, unfortunately, has to go to England, to the Super League.
Yeah.
I genuinely think he's a 9.
Yeah, I'd say that. But
that's and if any coach is going to be able to turn him and tell him to pull his head in, turn him into a 9, it's Dad.
Yeah, realistically, have the dad chat really more than a coach chat.
I mean, if he wants a long career, like another 5 to 6 years in the NRL, it's not as a half.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
He wants to stay as a half. He will not be in the NRL much longer.
Because I absolutely feel for Ilias.
Oh, 100%.
Because he was the scapegoat at the Bunnies.
Yep.
He got, in a way, flicked off to whoever. It was like pretty much it seemed like a throw a chip at the beach and watch the seagulls flock to it.
But there were no seagulls.
Yeah, that was pretty much what it looked like. It looked like someone just going, whatever, we don't need you anymore.
And young Lockie is managed by probably one of the better managers in our game that could be managing him in this situation. Obviously, it's Braith Anasta is his manager. Now, Braith, being a former half, has gone through some shitty times as a player in the halves, has copped it in the media, and so there's no better person to be giving him advice and mentoring him than Braith at the moment. But there's going to have to come a time where Ilias has to return to the first grade squad.
Yeah. I genuinely, with that being Braith and Asta, I know he went through a rough period with his career where they were like, are you a 6? Are you now, you put size on, are you a back
13,
rower? Are you this? Are you that?
Yeah.
But he went from, in a way, Anasta and another player, Leilua, is a bit of the similar player. Similar because I know Leilua had never played 6 before, but that was that weird.
Yeah.
But it was more like Drew Hutchison is another one. And was it Mitch Orbison?
Yep.
Was another one. He could just go anywhere. Like that sort of player. But Ilias, I would probably confidently stamp my foot and say that Ilias is going to be in that first grade side if Dragons lose another one.
That's fair. So they've got the bye this week, then they'll play someone. Not looking that far ahead, we'll deal with that later. But
if there's any,
here's a comparison for you: Kyle Flanagan. Now, just with my way of thinking, trying to turn him into a 9 and not being a half. Kyle Flanagan, Billy Walters. That's look at the career that Billy had as a 6 or a wannabe half. Not there.
Yeah,
wasn't terrible. Did his job.
Started playing 9
but Billy's a 9.
Yeah,
instead of a half. I think if the Flanagan family, the brains trust there, sit down and look at Billy's early halves days and what he's doing now at 9, I think you'll find a lot of similarities between him and Kyle.
Yeah, that'd be a fair thing. But looking at the fact that their next game that they have, if they lose that, out of the 2 halves, who are you dropping?
It's going to have to be Kyle. Not only because through performance or through the number that's on his back, but it also just shuts the media up and gets you out of the news cycle for a week. And that can sometimes do more good than anything on the field can do.
Yeah, that's true. And if Ilias comes in, and I'll go back to my statement that I said before, like the players themselves, like if Ilias goes in that first grade side and absolutely shoots the lights out, brings that side in, and they, for an example, they put 40 on a team that could be a potential premiership contender because they just decimate. Where's the problem there?
Exactly, there is no problem. It's like Sexton coming out and braining it last week, and the coach goes, "Well, shit, I can't really move him yet."
It's like, oh crap, where do I move him?
Yeah. Now? So, I mean, a lot of problems, or not problems, but a lot of possible solutions being thrown around there. But Wombat, we're getting the evil eye again. We've waffled on too long. So thanks for joining me this week.
Cheers, eh?
Easy as. Catch us all later.
Catch ya.